to hear your comment or your feedback about that.
Yeah, I think that is a very unfortunate happening because we've come from a place where Kenya has experienced post-election violence. We've had a fairly peaceful election in 2013. So going to this election, it will have been very important for our leaders, especially in areas that are perceived to be strongholds of one side, being able to demonstrate tolerance to other aspirants, especially those from opposition, or if government is going to a pro-opposition zone. So my view is that earlier in the day, there was some circulation of Facebook and social media postings of aspirants who have been cleared by the IBC who have been cleared by their parties to run now in this election, trying to say that opposition is not welcome in Nandi. And because of that, we saw what happened. And this happened concurrently with an event that was attended by so many leaders from the Kalenjin Rift Valley, making a declaration that Rift Valley is going to vote 6-piece. So the room for tolerance is not really there. And I think the message that we want to pass to Kenyans is that even if you do not agree with a leader, then why go to the stadium? So the onus is on the electoral agencies, the IBC, and even the police and the director of prosecutions to make sure that action is taken as a deterrent against other things. Because now going forward, today, for example, if the government decides to take its campaign to probably an opposition zone, the same may happen. So the escalation will continue, and with all this profiling, we are risking going into election and stoking the embers of violence.
All right. But then is it a matter of the leaders, or is it also the supporters are just basically affiliated to, the leaders that they know from, quote unquote, their strongholds? Martin?
It is not the supporters. The supporters are normally mobilized. And that is primitive politics. Because, you cannot solidly say that this is our stronghold. Because the dynamics are changing. And people are now asking questions. The electorate is getting more informed and more enlightened. And the young voters, unless you have a very clear message and clear programs for the youth, they will not just vote because they are voting tribe. The old generation is likely to vote tribe. Yeah. But the younger fellas are more interested in what they get out of political leadership. So sitting there and thinking that you can zone a particular place and tell the people that, this is our zone, so nobody else is allowed here, it's not going to work. And two, he's talking about those guys who are sitting in Sosion. The truth is the party primaries were shambolic across the country and across the parties, the whole place. So some of the fellas who stole the tickets, in certain places, they think if you steal the ticket, you are as good as elected. Now, the person you thought you had locked out has managed to go to the ballot. And you see, for the first time in the history of this country, you have 4,950 independents. That's a number you cannot ignore. So, if you are confident that you are popular and you won the party primary, then why are you complaining? Meet the same guy, and if you annihilated him in the ballot, in the primaries, you will still beat him. But if you are scared, why are you panicking and thinking that you will now hang on the coattails of the president or the deputy or of Raila for you to get elected? Right. It's not going to work. And two, look at Jubilee. They have a coalition arrangement with KANU. So when you talk of voting 6-piece, where are you living Kanu? Where are you living Mashinani, who have a coalition agreement with them? Where are you living EFP? So it creates a problem, and they need to be very careful. You see, Raila changed tact when they realized that trying to sideline the independents was going to cost them. Because the only way the opposition is going to have a very huge turnout in their strongholds, like Western, Nyanza, and all these other places, like Ukambani, is by having as many people as possible running for elective office. So the competition at times doesn't look very healthy. But you see, everybody has their support. So they are able to get as many of those people to turn out and vote. And as they turn out and vote, and they are all supporting the opposition candidate, then his tally will go up. So that's how you counter what has been the huge turnout that has been in the Jubilee strongholds.
Interesting. Charles?
Yeah, I think I'll also want to add something about what we saw yesterday in Nandi.
Yeah.
And this one is part of the bigger picture of what campaigns have been, the characterization of our campaigns. In Kenya, we've seen that apart from what we see mainly in the news, if you stay in a rally from morning up to evening, the way the speeches are done, they are very charged. So we want to agree that in as much as you want to lay blame on the leaders and tell them that probably you mobilize people and incited them against disrupting another person's rally.
Yeah.
We also want to say that for the leaders who speak and they have a national platform, whenever they have these platforms, they take messages to the people which are very antagonistic against the other leaders, especially when it gets personal. When it's one leader addressing the other leader, and now it's an attack of personalities. So when that happens, it creates jitters and upsets even local sentiments. Because you look at these leaders, they command following. So when, for example, I want to use an example of probably when Jubilee is holding a rally and NASA is holding its rally. And when you look at the Jubilee rally, they are bashing probably Raila Odinga. And on the other side, somebody speaking in the NASA rally is bashing Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and other leaders in a way that upsets their people. So when the people who support them. So when you come down to the areas they perceive, in Kenya, I think they're strongholds. You have to agree to that. The narrative of our politics is still ethnic, and the mobilization is still ethnic. So when you look at even what happened yesterday, it is when Isaac Ruto stood to speak, that is when things went to the dogs. Because now people felt this is a sellout. He's speaking in a very, in a way that is sending jitters, especially and upsetting the people. So in as much as you also want to say that there are leaders who are inciting people, these top leaders should also desist from these messages they are doing.
But isn't that the politics as we know it here in Kenya?
Betty, politics is about power and propaganda. So, look here, my brother. The code of conduct does not allow Jubilee supporters to be in a NASA rally. What business do people carrying NASA placards have being in a NASA rally? So whatever message is being said out there is against, some of the vile messages are against the electoral code of conduct. But these ones also have no business carrying placards to go and sit in a NASA rally. Let them organize their own rally and do their stuff. If you do what happened in Nandi, when these other guys also go to the other side, they will also do the same. And that will lead to anarchy and chaos,
Okay.
Which is what I'm saying. I want to give an example. In the last election, 2012, I was at a rally, and I saw something very interesting because the ICC issue was a very emotive issue at that time. So one of the speakers rose, and what he said, it was a rally in Baringo. Baringo is an area that is, it was a URP stronghold that time. And the speaker who came to speak spoke in a way that he was speaking actually in a function for Musalia Mudavadi. He was launching its bid in Baringo. So when this speaker rose to speak, he addressed an issue that led to a walkout from the stadium. People felt that, no, you have crossed the line. It had to take the intervention of leaders like the late Mr. Dawa, Makto, to calm the crowd and appease them, and it almost generated into conflict. So the point I was trying to put across is that there are some local sensitivities which these leaders ignore sometimes when they speak, and when they come down to speak to the same people, they therefore attract that violence and probably people feeling, no, you've crossed the line and you're coming, your presidency or your leadership may be threatening to our community. So what I'm trying to say is that we need leaders who are going to deconstruct the political contest from being purely a competition about ethnicities and competitions of fulfilling community interest to more of a national issue.
All right.
So, yeah.
This is really a campaign season, and as the days go by, we'll see more heated rallies. So is it the onus of the leaders to come out and tell their supporters, if this person comes, either you listen to him or you choose to go home, or is it sort of like strategizing the message? What is it? Is it the leaders? Like people are saying that Jubilee leaders, the top leaders, should come out and say that this was wrong. What happened in Nandi was not right.
They are supposed to tell their people, but Betty, elections are won or lost on two issues: either it's sympathy or protest. In 2013, the Jubilee duopoly won power on the basis of sympathy. ICC. Now, there is no ICC. There are actually two issues. It was the Raila phobia and the ICC. Now, there is no ICC. That's why you can see they are struggling. They have no clear message. The sleek machine of 2013 is not here. You saw the team, the Jubilee team was very organized. There was a clear chain of command, and you could see guys running a serious and sleek campaign. Now, that is all gone. They have put two elections in one. They are talking about 2022 and 2017.
Yeah.
Big mistake, because you sort out this. If you win, then you now start talking about 2022. So all those issues, and there's a lot of infighting and wrangling, you know, and you can see. Then the other side is supposed to heap and hype on the protest, which they have not effectively done. You know, I was in the village. There is no unga. You know, I drove 15 kilometers to Mumias to go and look for flour, you know, and I couldn't. And you know, in our place, if you eat rice, you've not eaten. So
there was nothing else to eat.
No, there's nothing. To us,
15
chapati,
kilometers,
you can imagine. That's why even FC lost the games here. They are losing all the games. In fact, now we are number 12 because there's no flour. It is a very serious national issue, you know. So if you have no flour you had even the people telling the president, unga, you know,
yeah.
It's not a simple issue. You know, so that's a very serious national issue. So you know, when you talk about this GR and all these other issues, and guys are sleeping hungry, does it really matter whether you have built an SGR? They are not interested.
Right.
You know, the basic issues. That is what the masses are talking about.
But
they
then,
want food on the table.
Yes.
They want their kids to go to school. They want medicine in hospital, even if it's just Panadol. You know, you put up a dispensary and they go there. And to them, you know, most of them don't know the difference between a doctor and us. And as long as there's somebody in white attending to them, they say, at least kuna daktari na kuna dawa. You know, then they can access clean water. They have some accessible road. Those are the basic issues. But if you are talking about grandiose projects, and then the people are not seeing it, then they tell you there's no money in this economy. That's the truth.
All right.
Those issues are going to give Jubilee a very, very, very hard time.
And it's interesting that you say that, because now that there's no ICC factor, and does that mean that now we'll see politics that is driven by issues that affect Kenyans? Because so far it looks like, of course, NASA is taking advantage of the bad unga problem that we have in the country to hit out at Jubilee. But does all this mean that, you know, we'll go back to issue-based politics for this coming elections?
Well, I think there have always been issues surrounding politics. The problem is that there's been that dominant organizing question that has eclipsed all other issues, which was the ICC, and sometimes in the absence of anything, it becomes ethnic competition. But in this election, there is an attempt to bring issues to the table, because you're realizing when NASA was in Bukungu Stadium, the main issue they did was they launched a Western region investment plan. This was a master plan for a blueprint for Western Kenya, and it addressed some critical areas, especially reviving the industries, looking at the agricultural sector, putting a dry port and such issues. And a few days ago, they also launched another blueprint for 29 pastoralist counties. So you are seeing a move from this competition on ethnicity more to and a tendency more to issues. But the challenge is not really, the message is always there on the issues. The problem is, what is the platform that is being used to advance this message? It is an ethnic platform. Because you look at NASA, the formation is just trying to recreate the Pentagon. People representing different tribes, bringing them together and competing against the other communities. So that is
So it's just an attempt.
It is an attempt. So what you see is that it is an ethnic platform used to advance an issue-based campaign. But the main issues is this community against this other one. That is why, even if you go with a very valid argument of food prices that are unaffordable to Kenyans, probably to Rift Valley or to Central Kenya, they'll not listen to you. They look at you, and they look at you like someone who is trying to fight a community interest.
That is not true. You know, he's missing the point. Where Uhuru was having problems about Unga is in Rift Valley, where the people who are there are Jubilee, predominantly Kalenjin and Kikuyu. No, let me tell you. You just listen. You will have your time. What we need to do, and I don't know why the opposition is not getting it. The young fellas will not necessarily vote tribe. And you get the young fellas across, even from the Kikuyu nation, from the Kalenjin nation, who are disillusioned with the state of affairs. But you see, the other side, the NASA has not come out with a clear message for them. You know, there is the thinking that it is them versus us, that every other Kikuyu has benefited from Jubilee, that every other Kikuyu has stolen, which is a big lie. So many of them are out there, you know, even the business people. So you need, you cannot take a whole community and demonize and say that this particular community has done this, you know, which is not true.
All right.
So you come out with, get a clear message, segment, and see how you can be able to send that message, and then get people who can deliver the message in a language that those people understand.
Right.
Not necessarily in the vernacular, but in a language. You can talk to the people, not talking at them, but you talk to them in a way that they are able to connect with you. That has been part of the problem. But
Okay.
coming back to the Kalenjin nation and the Kikuyu nation, they also have very serious issues. In fact, the land equation has been more explosive in Rift Valley and in Central and in Coast, more than in Western and Nyanza, but you see, the opposition has not come out with clear solutions. When you talk
what they will
about
do.
explaining how you are
Right.
going to resolve the land equation, why don't you get the experts who need to advise you? If you sit down and give them the way it's supposed to be addressed, giving titles is good.
All right.
But you are giving titles to who? To those who have land. But the issue is not about just giving titles. The issue is about those who don't have
Who
the
don't
land.
have land. All right, we'll continue with the conversation, but we'll take a break right now.